Hello, and welcome to Productivity in Prose, a podcast about making the most of your writing time and honing your craft. Whether you're a seasoned author or a new writer, this podcast offers helpful tips to maximize your writing time, increase your writing productivity, and tackle the sometimes tough aspects of the writer life. Hello. It has been a while since I've done an update on the podcast, and I'm so sorry about that. I'm Emily, your host, author of the Xeris Galaxy Saga. Book 1 is out right now, Suspended in the Stars, and Book 2 comes out November 12th, and that is Falling Through the Black, and I'm really excited. I have just sent out the ebook copies to all of my Kickstarter backers, and it has just been a whirlwind. So part of the reason why I have been absent is I have had a super busy summer that I kind of didn't anticipate being as busy as it was. I was at the Realm Makers Conference where my book Suspended in the Stars won 2 Realm Awards, which was amazing. I won it in the debut category and the young adult category, and it was just a phenomenal time. If you follow me on Instagram, you've totally seen pictures, but if not, hop on over there. There's some fun things, and I was also dressed up in a very cool costume to receive that award. But then following that, I went straight into vacation, but for me, it was actually a bit of a working vacation. My husband played in a golf tournament. I was there with my in-laws, and it was just a fantastic time. But I got a little behind, and then I think things just really snowballed. Now, when I started this podcast at the beginning of the year, I kind of had a bit of hesitation, even just beginning it, because I knew it was going to be a busy year. For those of you who don't know, I wear many hats and I do many things. And one of those main things is being a book cover designer, and I absolutely love it. And I think I'm still trying to figure out how to balance my business with my writing as well, because I took on probably too many clients for myself, and I found myself in just this kind of chaotic, nonstop, situation, I guess you could say. I've been working most nights, working on the weekends, and I, as you know from here on the podcast, do not advocate that. I definitely think we need breaks, but there are times, which I have talked about before, where, you know what, life is busy and you just kind of have to go with it. So I'm kind of in that season, and so the things that are fun and extra for me do kind of fall by the wayside. This podcast is that for me. It's more than that. It's more than just fun, because I do think it's serving a purpose. It's giving me a platform to share the things that I've learned as a writer and an indie author. And it's also just helping me to, connect with people more on my own platform. But at the same time, it doesn't pay me anything, and not that you have to do everything for money, but when I have other things that are putting food on my family's table, I definitely prioritize those. That said, I have been thinking about this podcast, and I don't want to leave you guys hanging. So my hope is to be able to reincorporate more episodes as the time goes on, and as some of my workload begins to lessen as I check those boxes off. We're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but here I am anyways. So what that kind of means is that these episodes might be a little shorter. They're going to be probably a little more impromptu, but they'll still contain content that is interesting and helpful. And then hopefully in the fall, or maybe even the winter, I'll be able to kind of get back into the rhythm where what I enjoy the most, which is actually writing up my podcasts before I record them. Now, that does mean that I have to have the time to do that, and being able to hop on here and just say a quick hello to give you guys an update on where things are at, and to share a few fun things with you. Takes less time than those other posts do. So it's going to be a balance here, and I think that that's a good thing, because really that is who I am as a person. And this is actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently. There is a lot of conventional wisdom out there that tells authors how they are supposed to, and I'm going to put that in quotations, interact with their readers, with their fans, with whatever you guys want to be called. And I kind of buck that system. People say, especially with regards to Instagram, you're posting, or I should say social media in general. You're posting for the readers, not the writers, or you should be posting exclusively about your book because that's your platform to sell your book. There's been some great conversation online that has been kind of regarding those things specifically, and that's why it's fresh in my mind. And I've really had great conversations with some authors about that. But I'm just not every other author. Like I said, wear a lot of hats. So I am a cover designer. I'm a graphic designer who also works with authors sometimes. I work obviously with my own books in creating those type of things to support my Kickstarter. I am a photographer, and I've actually found myself taking some additional sessions, not only at conferences, but here now in town, which is really fun, but it's not something that I kind of expected. And then I'm also clearly a podcaster. Maybe not a very great one at this point, but here I am. And so I take all of those things and I kind of maybe throw them at the wall of who EAH Creative is, because that's the umbrella name for my business. And I look at that and I think, man, I can't fit myself into a box. I'm not saying that people are asking me to, but my mind kind of goes there. Where can I shore up my advertising? Where can I sell my books? How can I sell them better? How do I make my platform better? All of those things. And I realized that this is just who I am. I am going to be talking about the books that I read. I'm going to be trying to share other indie authors' books, or just books that I feel like maybe are lesser known. But at the same time, I started off as a bookstagrammer, and my Instagram was mainly just bookstagram. And I have made a lot of connections with publishers, so I still get books from them, and I still want to post books for them. In addition, I love talking about writing, about marketing strategies, about all the things that I'm learning. And I realize that for readers, that's going to be less exciting or maybe not even a concern. But there are those few, maybe more than few, who hit that mark in the middle. They're readers, but they're also authors, or they're readers who want to become authors. And I just feel strongly called to speak to those people, to share what I've learned, because for me, that's how I got where I am. I am untrained in a lot of things, including graphic design, and yet here I am designing covers for big publishing houses and also awesome indie authors. And to me, there's nothing better than being in that space. But I can't really tell you specifically, oh, I did X, Y, and Z to get there. I just kind of found myself here. Maybe not the best strategy, but it is what it is. I share all of that to kind of convey to you all what it is that you can expect from me. I think by now most of you already know. If you've listened to this podcast, you see where I'm coming from, hopefully where I'm headed, and you're with me on that journey. If you've been following on my Instagram or through my Patreon or just through various different places where I post online, I think you're going to know who I am. And to me, there is nothing more important for an author, really for any person, but than to be genuine. I have taught classes on this. I frequently mention this whenever asked what my Instagram strategy is or social media strategy in general. And I full-heartedly believe that. And so for you all here listening to this random podcast that's an update on all things, that's what you're going to get from me. You're going to get my honest thoughts about publishing a book. You're going to get my honest thoughts about how hard it is, but also just the beauties that have come with it. And that is something actually I want to pop into a next episode, is just how now that my first book has been out and my second book is on the horizon of releasing, I'm starting to see that connection with readers take place. And I always heard about that from authors who have gone before me, or just read articles or things like that. And I always thought to myself, man, it would be really cool to get a reader email that tells me they read my book and they enjoyed it. And that happened. And now I'm just like, what? This is crazy. And so I'm not going to put myself in a place where I'm like, oh, I've made it. I haven't. Oh, I'm, selling like crazy. I'm not. But I am going to say that I am learning these tips, these strategies, these techniques, and then all encompassing them within the genuineness of who I am and approaching my content that way. it's not the reverse. I'm not thinking, how do I promote, and then trying to throw in who I am at the end of it. And if you're here on this podcast, you've happened upon this random episode today, and you're wondering, is this a podcast that can help me? I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But at least know that who you're hearing today is mostly unedited Emily, just kind of sharing her thoughts and how I fully believe that other people can see that same type of success. And I have talked about this on the podcast, but how you define success is what matters. Because I'm not telling you, oh, you can get rich today. I'm not telling you, oh, you can sell 1 million copies tomorrow if you follow my strategy. I don't believe in those things at all. But if you are deciding what your definition of success is and going hard for that goal, I fully believe that you can achieve it. Now, again, that seems like such a great statement and a great guarantee. And I don't mean that again in this kind of get rich quick kind of scheme. I mean that in the sense of setting attainable goals, setting attainable success. And to me, my first attainable success was, I want to publish this book. I have achieved that. I have succeeded. Again, my success was not tied to, I'm going to make 5,000 sales on this book. It was just my first step of, I'm going to put out a quality book. And I did that. And now the beauty is that I can step back and I can say, okay, what's my next attainable, achievable goal? And how can I see success in that? And so that is something I will talk about more and more here on the podcast, because it is very easy in this industry to be, I don't know what the right word is, I guess, to see the illusion of success from others based on what you see on social media, how they phrase things, what they say. It can look like people are selling hundreds of thousands of books, but in reality, they're maybe selling 3 copies a month or something, which, hey, to me, that's success. That's great. You're selling your book. But I don't want to put those people up on a pedestal thinking, oh, once I reach that level, then I will have achieved whatever. Instead, I want to look at myself. I want to run the race that I have been given to run, not running someone else's race. I don't want to compare my success, my book, my whatever to someone else's success, because they're just not going to be the same. And I think if we do start to do that, especially if the playing fields are not equal, we are going to get discouraged. We are going to want to stop. We are going to want to take a step back and think, well, maybe I just can't ever be successful. And I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that every person is going to be a bestseller. I don't believe that every person is going to hit the New York Times list. Obviously, it's just not that easy. But that doesn't mean that you can't put out books that you love, find your readers, have a good time while doing it, and create quality content. To me, I think that's very achievable. And it also means finding that balance. Now, you all know, because I just told you, I have not found that balance, and I am in the search for it. And so if you come along on this ride with me, I'm going to be really open about the fact that I struggle with this. I struggle with finding balance. I struggle with saying no to people. Oh, it is so hard for me to turn someone down, and I wouldn't say that I have achieved success in that yet. That's another little goal that I could put on my list. All of that to say, I hope that you can hear that I want to be there for you, to support you and cheer you on. It may just be through this podcast, because we may never meet in person, but maybe we will, and that would be fantastic. So let's bring this very random, odd update to a close with some actual updates. As I said, I was at the Realm Makers Conference in St. Louis in July, and I had an author table there, which was my first event ever, and it was so exciting. So when I did win those awards for my book, man, I was overrun, and I sold out of all of the books that I brought, which was so exciting. I would guess about 50 copies or so. And to me, that's a huge success. We're going to use that term a lot here. But it was so fun to see. And then following that, I think about 2 weeks ago, I was at the Batesville Public Library's book fair. That was so fun. Did not sell very many books, but you know what? That is, again, not how I define what success looks like to me. How I define it is that I met readers. I talked to people about writing. I did sell a few books, and to me, that makes the hour-long trip totally worth it. And it was just a bunch of fun. So I love book fairs. We're going to put it there. Early next month, I'll be in New Orleans at the ACFW, so it's American Christian Fiction Writers Conference. I'm offering headshots there, and it is just a ton of fun. It's kind of like coming home because I have just been, this is probably my 13th year, I think, at ACFW, and it's just a lovely time meeting with people, learning about books, networking, all of the fun things. I'm just really looking forward to it and praying for myself for some refreshment, just because it's been a busy season. Then right after that, I have the Louisville Book Festival in October. I believe it's the 18th and the 19th. That is an all-day event on both of those days. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I am so excited to have a table there. I will be selling copies of Suspended in the Stars, but get this, I will also have early copies, like finished copies, of Falling Through the Black to sell there at the book fair. So that is, gosh, I don't know, less than a month early to get those books. So that's before release. So if you're interested in reading Falling Through the Black, which is book 2 in the series, you definitely want to come see me in Louisville. Then after that, and this is the first time I'm announcing it outside of my newsletter, I have scheduled a signing for book 2 at our local bookstore. It's called Viewpoint Books, but we're going to be at the chapter 2 location. They have 2 different locations within a block of each other. And that is on the schedule for November 16th, and that will be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I'm really excited for that. There's a possibility that I will also be in Chicago the day before. Yes, I did not plan this well. But there's the potential that I will be at the Rendezvous Christian Readers Retreat. And we're waiting because it's dependent on how many people sign up for it. I am within the next 3 people to be added in, 3 authors, and we have to hit, I think in the last count I checked, it was about 8 more people to sign up for that retreat. So that means I will be hopefully there actually November 15th, and then I will jet on home and be at the signing the next day on the 16th. So if you live near Columbus, Indiana, I would love to see you come out for the signing. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm going to have some swag that will be event exclusive. We're still working on what that's going to look like, but mostly it will be a open house style. So come whenever. We'll probably do something at the very beginning where maybe I'll, answer a few questions. So if you guys have questions, send them to me. I would love to know what you want to know. And of course, that really ushers in the release of my book, which happens earlier that week, which is November 12th. And finally, the last update is that I am actually going to be doing some fun things with my website and my shop site and all of those different things. If you didn't know, I have run an Etsy shop since 2012, and it's currently on vacation because I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing with it. I want to put new stock in, but I've got a lot of old stock that I want to sell. So I would say keep an eye out because probably in December I'm going to be doing some massive sales on bookmarks and stickers and things so I can clean out my inventory and be ready for something new in the new year. But I'm going to be updating my shop website. I'm probably going to be compiling all of my websites into one website to rule them all, just because I think it's going to be so much easier. I am literally like 5 people sometimes, and with the pen names that I write under and all of the things that I do. And I want to make it easy for everyone to find that one hub. So working on that. And finally, perhaps most importantly, for those of you who have read book 2 and have been reaching out to me already, book 3, which I have revealed the title for, and that is Rising from the Galaxy, that will be on Kickstarter in spring of 2025. I'm aiming for March, but we'll see how it goes because there's some stuff that's happening in the new year that I have to plan around, good things, and I'm just not sure what that's going to look like. But I will hope to have a landing page up soon as I actually deliver probably my paperbacks for this current Kickstarter, because then I will have done enough fulfillment where they might be okay with me getting up that preview page for the 3rd book. And you're going to want to go follow that page because that will alert you the minute it goes live. So if you happen to miss out and you don't know, when did she say that it was going to release? This will tell you, which I absolutely love about Kickstarter. So definitely go check that out. If you don't know anything about Kickstarter, listen back. I've got a couple of episodes about that. And I've also mentioned it on my other podcast with my co-host, Kristen Crum. Our podcast is called Exploring the Blank Page, and I have talked about Kickstarter on there as well, along with a couple of other people. So go check out those episodes. Thanks so much for coming back and for understanding my absence. I am not saying that I'm back yet, but I'm going to be trying to do a few more podcasts here and there. I have some ideas. There's some stuff that I want to share with you guys, but I'm not quite ready for it yet. But there's things that I want to do in conjunction with this podcast. And it's just yet another thing. Emily has a lot of dreams, a lot of ideas. I'm not quite there yet, but I hope to be soon. And so what I will probably do is a couple more of these like freestyle episodes. I will try to have a very specific point for them though, so I don't just ramble. Hopefully that has not happened in this one too much. But I do think this is a great way for me to connect with my listeners here and for you guys to like be able to connect with me too. Thanks so much for listening, and until the next episode, don't forget to dream big and write boldly. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. If you're looking for more writing inspiration, community, craft tips, and behind-the-scenes content, consider joining the EAH Coalition on Patreon with various levels of free and paid support. You can also connect with me on Instagram at CreateExploreRead and find out more about me, my books, and my design business on my website, eahcreative.com. Productivity in Prose is an EAH Creative production.